Have you ever opened your phone to buy ASX shares and had absolutely no idea which app to use? There are dozens of options out there, and the difference between choosing the right one and the wrong one could cost you hundreds of dollars a year. And that's before we even talk about minimum investments and whether you can buy just a fraction of a share. I reviewed 13 broker apps, and in this video, I'll show you the 8 major ones side by side, so you can choose the one that fits you.
Before we do though, quick disclaimer. Nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not a licensed advisor. This is purely educational. Do your own research. Talk to a professional if you need to. All right, let's go.
Here's why this matters more than most people realize. A standard ASX trade can cost as much as $29.95 at ComSec, while Tiger and Moomoo charge about $3. That is a 10 times difference in cost. If you make just 10 trades per year, the broker you choose could cost you $300 more or less annually. And that's before we talk about international trades, where the hidden fee trap gets even worse. Before we compare fees, there's one concept you absolutely must understand, and I promise most beginners completely miss this. In Australia, when you buy shares, there are 2 ways those shares can be held. The first is called CHESS-sponsored. CHESS stands for Clearinghouse Electronic Sub-Register System. It's the ASX's own share registry. When your broker is CHESS-sponsored, your shares are registered in your name with a unique identifier called a HIN, a holder identification number. You are the legal owner. The second is called custodial. Here, the broker's nominee holds the shares on your behalf. You have rights to those shares, but the broker, not you, is the legal owner on record. For most Australian investors, CHESS sponsorship is considered the gold standard. If a custodial broker ever ran into trouble, your shares could be caught up in administration proceedings, even if they're legally ring-fenced. Here's how it works in practice. You place a trade through your CHESS-sponsored broker. The broker executes the order on the ASX. Settlement occurs, and then CHESS registers the shares directly under your name and HIN, not the broker's. The result is that your shares appear on the ASX's own register with your name attached. If your broker closed tomorrow, the ASX register would still confirm you as the legal owner. That's the protection CHESS gives you, and it's something that simply doesn't exist in the US or UK markets. Now let's look at the 8 major platforms side by side. I've added 2 columns you won't see on most comparison sites: the minimum trade size and whether fractional shares are available. Superhero is the cheapest at $2 per trade with a $10 minimum, but it's custodial. Stake and Moomoo charge $3 and are fully CHESS-sponsored with a $500 first purchase. CMC Invest offers $0 brokerage under your first buy under $1,000 per day, CHESS-sponsored, and probably the best-kept secret in Australian investing. ComSec at $5, Perler at $6.50, Self-Wealth at a flat $9.50, all CHESS-sponsored, all $500 first purchase. Interactive Brokers at $6 minimum, custodial, but the gateway to 160-plus international markets, with fractional U.S. shares from just $1 alongside Tiger and Webull. Here are 2 things I wish someone had told me when I first started. First, the $500 minimum. Every CHESS-sponsored broker in Australia requires at least $500 for your very first purchase of any ASX security. This is not a broker decision. It's an ASX rule called the minimum marketable parcel. Once you already hold shares in a company, top-up purchases drop to as low as $20. The only way around the $500 rule is to use a custodial platform. Superhero and BetaShares Direct both allow ASX trades from just $10, but you give up CHESS sponsorship to do it. Second, fractional shares. You've probably seen US YouTubers buy a tiny slice of Amazon or Apple for $5. Here's the reality in Australia. Fractional ASX shares are structurally impossible through CHESS. The settlement system only supports whole share transactions. The only exception is BetaShares Direct. Fractional ASX shares from $10, but again, custodial. Fractional US shares? That's different. Most brokers offer them, from $1 at Tiger, IBKR, and Webull, $5 at Moomoo, and $10 at Stake and ComSec. CMC Invest is a notable exception. No fractional shares on any market. Here's the number one thing the Australian investing community warns beginners about: foreign exchange fees. Take the same $10,000 US trade. At Interactive Brokers, the FX conversion costs roughly $1.50, at Moomoo about $33, at Stake or ComSec about $55. If you're only buying ASX shares, this is irrelevant, but if you want to invest in US stocks regularly, and the math on this is pretty clear, Interactive Brokers' near zero FX fee can save you $500 to $1,000 a year compared to every other broker. That's the one reason active international investors put up with IBKR's steep learning curve. So, what's the mistake most beginners make? They see a $0 brokerage offer and sign up immediately without checking chess sponsorship, without reading the fine print, and without thinking about the $500 minimum that will greet them when they try to buy their first stock. Some also assume fractional ASX shares are available because they've seen it on US platforms. They're not. That confusion costs people real money when their order is rejected for being under $500. The right approach is Step 1, confirm chess sponsorship. Step 2, check the minimum investment. Step 3, compare brokerage fees. Step 4, calculate FX costs if you're buying US stocks. That's the order. Here's what makes this topic uniquely important for Australian investors. Chess doesn't exist in the US or UK. When American investing channels debate Robinhood versus Fidelity, they're not talking about direct share ownership on a national register. That concept doesn't exist there. It's an Australian advantage most beginners never learn about. And the market itself is changing fast. Moomoo was Australia's most downloaded trading app in 2025. Self-Wealth was acquired by Saif for $65 million. Spaceship was acquired by eToro. If you're using a platform from 2 years ago, it's worth checking what's changed. So, which broker is right for you? If you're a complete beginner, start with Moomoo or CMC Invest. Both are chess-sponsored, both charge $3 or less, and the $500 minimum applies. Moomoo has 700 free courses and a paper trading mode. You can practice before using real money. If you're a passive ETF investor doing regular small purchases, CMC Invest's $0 offer is genuinely unbeatable for chess-sponsored trading. Perler is the runner-up for its auto-invest feature. If you're an active ASX trader, Superhero at $2 per trade from just $10 minimum, but it's custodial. Moomoo gives you chess plus the most powerful free charting tools available from $500 first purchase. And if you're serious about international investing, Interactive Brokers. Fractional US shares from $1, the best FX rate of any broker, access to 160 plus markets. The interface takes getting used to, but nothing else comes close. The rule of thumb? Check chess first, then check the minimum, then compare fees, FX costs, and fractional access for your style. If this was useful, subscribe and drop a comment telling me which broker you're using and why. I'll see you in the next one.